What's up? Hello, everybody. What's up, public speaking? What's up, Monday, Friday class? What's up, Tuesday, Thursday class? I'm coming to you from a different portion of my office. What's up? You get to see a different angle because I've got this amazing PowerPoint. I've got this amazing presentation that we're going to talk about. Yeah, I could have, just like uploaded the PowerPoint and just put some audio on it, but that's like no fun. Plus, this is a public speaking course after all, and I'm speaking to the public. I'm speaking to the public speaking people. Come on, come on, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I mean, plain and simple. But in this way, you get a little bit of personality, you get a little bit of flavor, you get visuals. You're not just sitting there clicking and like, oh, okay, that's what she's saying, right? That's not what this is about. We're here to have fun. So I hope all is well in your world. I mean, I guess as like all as well as it can be. Excuse me, I know we're like on lockdown. I know but I hope when you get outside, you're safe, continue to wash your hands, the whole thing, you've heard it a million times. But I get it, so I hope all is well. I don't know, I keep seeing like, people are like, well, I'm good, but I'm good, right? So whatever that version is for you, I'm just always trying to think about the bigger picture. I'm always trying to think about like, this is all just temporary. This is not going to be forever, I promise you. And I recognize that the world is going to change a bit, right? Because that's the only constant in life is change, right? We evolve, we transform. But I'm always like trying to think of the bigger picture and what are the positives in all this. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's what I'm always working on. So what is this PowerPoint all about, Nikki? Like, what are you going to show us on this big black screen? Well, we're going to talk about persuasion. We're going to talk about this persuasive speech, right? We've got like a few weeks left of school. Can you believe it? Like, we're in the home stretch. We're coming to the end. Can you believe it? This is insane. We're here. I once heard a phrase that's like, I didn't get this far just to get this far, right? Something to think about, something to I always like to put that in my back pocket when I feel like giving up, when I feel like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Like, I just want to start something new. I just want to take a nap. I just want to watch The Office on Netflix or whatever that thing is that you watch for the upteenth time, right? I always think like, okay, I didn't get this far just to get this far. So we're in the home stretch. Just bear with me. Bear with me. We're in our last speech, right? Persuasive speech. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about what the power of persuasion is like. I'm going to ask you some questions. And I want your comments below. So please, please, please comment below because I want to hear your answers, right? That I'm hoping these, I'm hoping these videos are not just a one way, that I would like to have a bit of a conversation as much as we can. So, question. Why are you going to college? Right? Simple question, or sometimes it's not a simple question, but ask yourself, like, why are you going to college? Like, why are you here? And there's a reasoning. There's reasons why I'm asking this question. I don't know your answer. I'm going to take an educated guess that your answer is going to be to better yourself, right? To educate yourself, to learn some stuff. For some, maybe it's just to get that piece of paper. I know that was when I went back to school. I went to school when I was 18, and then I dropped out at 20, and then I went back in my early 30s, and I honestly went back to school. I didn't have a goal at that point, but I went back because I really just wanted to get that piece of paper. That was my initial goal. That was what got me in the door. It was like, I want to finish this out. I want to finish this college education that I had started when I was 18 and never finished. And so my initial goal with why I went to college was to get a piece of paper. But then with each class, like, I learned some more, and I'm like, oh, this is what I'm going to major in, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to become, and it always evolves. It always evolves. So my question for you is, why are you going to college, right? What's the purpose of all this? What's the purpose of this class? What's the purpose of your other classes, right? Getting the piece of paper, right? That's like the right now sort of thing. But what do you want to do with all this information? What do you want to do with all of this education? And what are you going to do with it in your world? Okay. So how will what you learn in college help you in the outside world? Right? Because each class that you take, there's stuff that you're going to learn. There's stuff that you're going to take with you. These let's just take public speaking, right? Because that's what this class is how I know you. So take this public speaking course and, right, we're talking about informative speeches, or let's start at the beginning. Personal introductions, informative, commemorative, report speech you just did, and now this final speech is persuasive speech. And right, how will you take what you learn? How will you take these, right? These speeches aren't just about like, oh, let me do this speech so I can pass the class. But it's about how do you take this information? How do you take this education and put it out there into the world, right? And we've talked about this. We even talked about this early on in the semester when we were like meeting face to face. Remember those days? Remember when we actually used to meet face to face? Oh, those were good days. Yeah. Those were good days. Those were good days. But at least we have this, right? At least we have this. I mean, I'll take what I can get. I'll take what I can get. So think about this question. How will you take, right? This is, because these classes I've often talked about, right? There's the micro level and there's the macro level. The micro is the small picture. The macro is the big picture. This class is the micro, right? This class is like, okay, let me get through this class. Let me learn some stuff. Let me take it out. And then the macro is like the big picture, right? The big world, the outside world, right? What happens after your graduation and how do you take it? So I've often talked about this semester is structure versus content, right? Content, what you say. Structure, how you say it, right? Because it's not just what you say, but it's how you say it. And I always have a visual, right? And I know I've talked about this in the past. This glass of water, I better use this before I drink it all, right? I bet this is my prop, right? The water's the content, right? The what you say. The glass is the structure, how you say it, right? They need each other. They go hand in hand. Now, let's say you've got water, right? Let's say there's water, but there's no glass. What happens to the water? The water's all over my desk. It's all over the floor. It's everywhere. So basically, the water is just all over. So in theory, the desk and the floor become the structure, right? Because something's always going to house the water. Even the water that's coming out of my kitchen sink, the structure is the sink. The structure is the faucet. And then the content is the water. Okay. So now there's the glass, which is the structure. So let's say there's a glass and there's no water. Well, the glass doesn't get to fulfill its purpose, right? They need each other. If you don't have a glass, it just sits there. It just sits empty. There's a purpose for everything, right? There's a purpose for you. There's a purpose for everything that we do. Sometimes we don't know the purpose. Sometimes the purpose we find out later. Who knows? But there is a purpose of some kind. But like I said, it could be minuscule. It could we have no idea. Don't read too much into that. But you know what I'm saying? Like there's a purpose. There's a purpose for this glass. And if there's no water in it, it doesn't fulfill its purpose. It doesn't fulfill its glass purpose, its glass needs. So, right, not just what you say, but it's how you say it. So, think about this, right? Because we're talking about persuasion and we're going to take it on this level right now. And it's because it's something that it's now, it's in the forefront, or is that the right word, forefront? It's right now, it's happening, it's in the present moment, that's what I'm looking for. Is it how did I persuade you throughout the semester? Right, how did I persuade you? And let's talk about that word persuade or persuasion. It's not a negative word, it's just a neutral word. And persuasion can be, right, a good thing, it can be a bad thing, it depends on what you're persuading someone on, right? That it's not like an evil word. I'm not like, oh, like she's going to persuade me to do something evil, right? Like that's not what this is. Maybe somebody's going to persuade you to do something evil, but maybe not. Maybe I want to persuade you into learning about different speeches. So how did I persuade you, right? Think about that. Think about that question. As we move on, we're going to talk about this. So when was a time you had to persuade someone of something? Now, persuasion can be something small. It can be like, hey, listen to this cool song. Or it can be like, hey, try this new food. Or, or it could be persuasion of like, hey, can I get a ride somewhere? Right? Or think about, maybe it's like, oh, you got to check out this new show on Netflix. Oh my God, like, we've all been in that situation. We've either been that person or we've been the recipient of that person. There's always like, oh my God, you gotta check this out. Oh my God, have you seen it? Have you seen this new movie? Have you seen this documentary? Have you seen Tiger King? Oh my goodness, because everybody's talking about Tiger King. Even you all just talked about it in your report speech. So think about, when was a time you had to persuade someone of something? So how will you use the power of persuasion in your life? Now, these are small things, right? Try this food, check out this show on Netflix, can I get a ride, right? Those are all kind of micro, right? The micro versus macro. So think about how we'll use the power of persuasion in your life. Think about if you go to a job interview, right? How will you persuade this company to hire you, right? I'm going to use that example later. Or let's say you don't want to get a job and you want to start your own business. How will you persuade potential clients to hire you for your service, or to hire you to do something for them, or to make something for them, or to purchase something from you for them? Think about how will you persuade, how will you use the power of persuasion? How will you get to that person? How will you get them to pay attention to you? Think about what will you need to persuade and who will you need to persuade. Okay. So now we're going to talk about, fix that, we're going to talk about the modes of persuasion. And there's 3, and they generally all go together. And the beautiful thing about this is that they go together and we don't even know that they go together. They just sort of happen. Sort of. It's intentional. It's intentional. But let me explain. And then you'll see, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. So there's ethos, right? The speaker's credibility. Pathos, the emotional effect of speaker's words. And then logos, the arrangement, evidence, and logic. So credibility. This is like, who are you? Why don't you tell me, who are you? Tell me more about you. Why should I be listening to you? What are your credentials? Think about, like, if you're going to go to a job interview. They're going to see first and foremost what your credentials are, because they're going to see it in that resume. And keep in mind, people, when they submit resumes, there's like hundreds of other people that are submitting resumes. So you have to figure out, how do you get the first phone call? Like, how do you, see, I see you. How do you get the phone call that says, hey, we'd like to do a phone interview with you? Because that's generally what happens. It's like, they look at your resume out of like 1,000 resumes, maybe not 1,000, but like probably a good 100. And they go, okay, I'm going to pick you. So you have to persuade them with your resume skills. By the way, if you need help with resume skills, talk to me. I know some things. See, even that is a form of persuasion, because I'm like trying to convince you to come to me about resumes. Trust me, I have helped many people with boring resumes. You do not want a boring resume. Absolutely not. You need something that's going to stand out a little bit, but not like too grandiose. But now we're getting off topic. So, right, what is the speaker's credibility? And then pathos, emotional effect. So, okay, so ethos, your credibility. This is your resume. This is your resume to get you in the door. They want to look, okay, because they don't see emotion. They don't see emotion in your in your resume. They just see like your credentials. Okay. Pathos, the emotional effect of speaker's words, and logos, arrangement, evidence, and logic. So think about this. This is going to happen in the phone interview, or in the even the in-person interview, right? Because it's not just what you say, but it's how you say it. It's emotion and brain stuff. Okay. Oh, there we go. So ethos, credentials, pathos, emotion, logos, logic, brain, heart, credentials. Okay. Right, ethos. Who are you? What's your credibility? Build trust with your audience. Be confident in your words and being, right? Because if you get anywhere, whether it's a speech, whether it's you're talking to future clients, whether you're in a job interview, whether you're trying to convince your friend to give you a ride, right? If you be like, hey, if you don't look them in the eye, first of all, that's a problem, right? Because we talk about eye contact, super, super, super important. But if you talk and you're like, hey, I hope it's not a problem, but hey, I just want to tell you, hey, there's this really cool show on Netflix. I think you should watch it. Like, no eye contact. You don't sound confident. You don't even sound excited. And I'm not saying you have to be like excited, but you got to talk with purpose, right? And we talk about this, like project your voice, talk with your being, talk with your body. Use all of this. We talk about nonverbal cues as well. And even now that you're all recording your speeches, I hear from a lot of you that, right, that you've done like 10 takes, 20 takes, 60 takes, because you're like, I just want to get it right. Excuse me. This is not about perfection. This is not about perfection, right? If you think about it, if we would have done these speeches in class, you would have got like one chance, maybe two, because I always give people a do-over. But now I hear from everybody that you're like, oh, I did 10 takes, I did 20 takes. And I get it, because now you're watching yourself, but now you are seeing what the audience sees. So even these videos, sometimes it's not a bad thing that this is happening, but we also have to not get too nitpicky. This isn't about like, oh, I didn't like the way my hand was, or I didn't, right? Like, I get it, and those things are helpful, but if we get too nitpicky, we're never going to go anywhere. So, ethos, who are you? What's your credibility? Talk with your being, talk with some sort of authority, talk with power. Right? Pathos, tell a story, evoke emotion, personalize, get an emotional response. It's not about thinking, but about feeling, right? This is where the heart comes in, okay? And then, there we go. And then logos, right? The logic, talk about facts and figures, data, statistics, research, characteristics, arguments, benefits, or obstacles. This is the brain, this is the heart, and this is your credentials, right? They all kind of go together. And don't worry, I've got some other videos to kind of go with this, but I wanted to kind of get these three things out to you. But this is all part of it, right? This is right, to give you a better example, or kind of example I was going by before, your resume, your interview, right? Because you got to show credentials before you can even get in the door, you know. Or if it's with a client, your client's got to know what your credentials are before they even want to even talk to you. So, I'm going to tell you something. I mean this in the nicest way. I do. I'm about to tell you something, and I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. Truly. I'm here to help you. I mean this in the nicest way. It might not sound nice, but trust me, and just bear with me. Let me say it, and then I will explain. No one cares about you as much as you think that they do. Now wait, hold on a second. Now before you like freak out, and before you're like, wow, that's like, Nikki, that's like really mean. Like, that's really, really mean. Like, hold on. Just bear with me. Let me explain. So when I say that no one cares about you as much as you think that they do, I'm not talking about friends. I'm not talking about family. That's not what I'm getting at. It's not what I'm getting at all. I'm talking about those people that we come across that, actually, let me explain it in a story. Let me give you some pathos. Right? So I had a friend of mine, and she, this was years and years ago. So she was going to the gym. Oh, remember that? Remember those days when you could like go to places in public? Remember that? Yeah, I do too. And she was going to the gym, and I talked to her like after, like we'd call, like we'd talk on the phone or we'd text, and she'd be like, oh, I go to the gym, but I just get all like freaked out. She's like, because everyone's like staring at me. I don't do the steps right in the classes, or I'm not lifting the weights right, or I don't like the way my outfit looks, or whatever that thing is, right? We all have that. And with my friend, it was always something a little different. And trust me, I've been in that space before, so I'm not exempt from any of this. But she'd be like, oh, I go to the gym, and I'm just so self-conscious about everything, and I know people are staring at me. And this is when I kindly said to her, no one cares about you as much as you think that they do. You go to the gym, no one cares. No one cares. People are in their own head. They're in their own neuroses. They're in their own space of like, oh, I can't do the steps, or like, I don't know how to use this machine, or like some people can't even like walk into the gym because they're just like, oh, people are staring at me from the door. No one cares. This is where my phrase of no one cares about you as much as you think that they do comes into play. This isn't about, before you yell at me, before you freak out, this isn't about friends. This isn't about family. We know those people care about you because you're a lovely human being, right? I get that. But I'm talking about those people that we think that are like paying so close to attention. Also, keep in mind, when people are at the gym, besides them being in their own neuroses, they're on their phone. Like, come on. They're on their phone. They're trying to find a song to listen to. They're trying to find a TV show, a Netflix to watch. It's probably The Office because that's generally what it is. They're trying to find a podcast to listen to. Whatever it is, people are in their own world. They're generally with their head in their phone. We know. I know I'm that way. You're that way. I get it. We all can relate to this. So that's what I mean by this. So don't at me. This is what I mean. I'm not talking about friends and family. I'm talking about this. Same thing with a job interview. They care about you because they invited you in. But, for example, if they ask you a question, so why this job? Why this company? If you say to them, well, I just want a paycheck. First of all, that's the wrong answer. That never answer a job interview with that answer. That will get you nowhere. Because if you say, but if you're like, Nikki, but I do want the paycheck. Yeah, I get that. That's valid. We all want a paycheck. We all want money. Like, I get it. I totally get it. But just because that's the truth doesn't mean that you should tell them that in an interview, right? Because now all of a sudden you're making that interview about you, instead of about them. And that's what the interview is. You're trying to convince them to hire you. And I get that they're like, well, I'm just trying to tell them what my needs are. Yeah, they care about that. But they're also caring about the greater good of the company, right? Something, and I'm trying to give it to you an example that is relatable, right? So if you think about it, like if you go to an interview, if you get a potential client, you have to make it about them, not about you. Now, we're talking about persuasive speeches, so whatever you are going to persuade people on, you have to make it about your audience, not about you, right? Because if you're just like, hey, look at how amazing this pen is, don't make it about the pen. You got to make it about the audience. It's always about the personal, always about the personal. And I've got an amazing video about a pen. So stay tuned. I got some videos to go along with this. So, with them. This is some of the best advice I've ever gotten. And you're like, what's with them? With them? With them. This has helped me out many, many, many times throughout my adulthood. What's in it for me? Now, that word me, you're like, yeah, it's all about me. You're like, of course it's all about me. No, that's not what I'm getting at. When you are persuading someone, you have to think, they're thinking this the whole time. They're going, well, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? Why should I listen to you? Because what's in it for me? If you recall, on the very first day of class, right, we did some activities, we had some conversation. I didn't talk about who I was until the very, very end of class. Because these classes are about you. And I try my hardest to make these classes all about you and how will you benefit from this. And it doesn't mean I won't have a personal story. It doesn't mean that I won't try and relate something. But I'm always going to make it at the end of the day, in the class, I'm always going to make it about you. That's my goal. So when you design this persuasive speech, I want you to think about your audience. Not just about, oh, well, I'm going to tell them why I love Tiger King or why I love The Office or why I love this food or why I love this movie. No, that's great. That's fine. But that's not what your audience wants to hear. Your audience wants to hear about how is it going to benefit them, right? Your audience is thinking, well, what's in this for me? Just like a company that you interview with, just like a potential client, those people are going to be like, well, what's in this for me? What's in this for the company? What's in this for them? Not about, right? This is where I'm like, no one cares about you as much as you think that they are. Right? So, final question as we're about to wrap things up. What is a common theme throughout this presentation? Think about that. What is the common theme throughout this presentation? I'll give you a hint. You. I made this presentation about you. It was you. I made this presentation all about you. I made it relatable to you. At least I tried my best. Only you can tell me. I guess you have to be the judge of that, right? I talked about a personal story about a friend of mine. I gave you some pathos, right? Logic was the presentation, was facts and figures. I made a visual here for you. I also, let's see, the ethos, pathos, logos, right? Ethos, pathos, logos, right? This information is actually my logos because I'm giving you the logic in this. The pathos was my story, or not my story, but the story about my friend, right? Giving you a story, let's go back, right? Tell a story, evoke emotion. I evoked emotion with telling you the story of my friend that went to the gym, right? What's my credibility? Well, what is my credibility? I mean, all semester long, I've been working with you and you know my credentials, you know my background, and if you don't, I'm happy to give them to you again. But this presentation is about you. Let's go back. It's about you. So, thoughts, comments, questions, comment below. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on, this is just the first bout of persuasion. I've got some videos, I got some articles, I got stuff for you. I got stuff for you to think about, right? Stuff for you to kind of ponder as we're about to explore this persuasive speech, right? And whatever you decide to persuade on, and don't worry, I've got a video for you. I'm going to make you a video here in a little bit. I'm going to give you my persuasive speech. And just so you can have an example, or another example, because I got some other ones here I'm going to show you. But think about whatever you decide to persuade on, whatever that is, make it about the audience. Make it about someone else. Don't make it about you. You can include parts of you, of course. Of course you can. But how will you make it about your audience? And with that, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this. Tell me, what was your big takeaway from this presentation? How did you like how I presented, or would you have rather had just a PowerPoint with my audio? I'd like to think not, because how then can I talk to you as a person, right? Like we're talking voice to voice, eye to eye, right? This kind of thing. But comment below. What was your big takeaway from the presentation? Or maybe it was 2 takeaways, or I don't know. What are they? And stay tuned for more information. I've got a persuasive speech I'm going to give you, and a bunch of other clips and stuff. Stay tuned. And in the meantime, have an amazing day. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing day. But of course you will, because you are amazing. Take care.